I gotta drink this
I'll
fast.
let him take
I gotta like finish this so that I can start in on the hot cocoa right when it's cooled.
Sure, yeah.
Perfect. Perfectly timed.
I know I want mine now, but the cup is too hot.
Mm-hmm.
Just scald your tongue. Just burn it off.
It's more my crotch I'm worried about. Also, the handle is Gorilla Glued on. What? No, because I'll have to rest it there and speak for yourself.
That's true. That's a guy thing, I think, that we don't do that.
Yeah, even though we've got the straw built in. You started it. You made it weird to start.
I didn't. I said I was worried about the hot mug on my lap. And I was, mentioning that the handle's Gorilla Glued on, and there is a little part of me that's worried that that's going to snap off and spill scalding hot cocoa.
It's a fair concern.
On my lap.
I feel like
you didn't have to say what you just said.
I did.
Didn't
think if
we,
you rewatch
though?
the tape,
Yeah.
you'll find I did.
All right, I'm ready.
So that Udyr, right?
That's the intro. We don't even have one anymore. Sipping hot cocoa through my dick.
It's getting a little loopy as we get into the back half of the alphabet, right?
Yeah, I bet if we go back to the A's, we're like just right on track the whole time.
Right.
Nothing's weird. Wait for you to gulp. Hello, lore heads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
Today we're talking about the Spirit Walker, Udyr, who was released December 2nd, 2009, and was reworked August 10th, 2022. We always are like, when did he get reworked? So I was like, I'm going to look it up this time.
Nice.
That's pretty recent.
Because I had that exact question about to spew out of my mouth.
Right?
Thank you for saving me.
I knew it was recent.
It's recent, yeah.
But yeah.
Real recent.
Real
Yeah, very.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's Udyr.
That's it.
What's Udyr sound like? Surprising is one thing.
Sure, that's it. Yeah,
I didn't look up his voice until like today.
Yeah, we were on the couch and we had the Chromebook out, which is new, and I'm listening to it and I'm like, is like the sound on this just weird? It did sound better when I listened to it like elsewhere later. Not doesn't sound bad. It's just like
better speakers. You don't get a Chromebook for the audio quality.
No.
You get it because it came free with your internet. I was gonna just wing it, and then I heard his voice, and I was like, "Man, I'm glad I didn't just wing it."
What would you have done?
Yeah, I wish you would have.
I need both now. I need what would you have done if you had winged
I think it was going to be growly.
Which it is.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely not going to have that kind of like Russian hint to it. It's probably just more growly and yelly, maybe.
Oh, yelly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would it be kind of like a wolf impression type from like Think Kindred?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's probably more like what I had in my head.
Okay.
So who wants to do their actual Udyr impression first?
Oh, why don't we each just talk about our impressions?
Yeah, let's allow the listener to just imagine it, right?
Create a soundscape, if you will. You'll have to do it on your own because we will not be providing it today.
I'll go first because mine's going to be the worst because I can't do growly man voices. I'm no good with people.
That's pretty good. I think you did a good job on that one.
No, it wasn't, but thank you.
That was beautiful.
Damn, okay.
But growly.
I need more growl in it. More gravel. I need to gargle rocks.
Sure. What's the one that I had is no one survives life.
That's good. How do you get that?
I have a lot of phlegm in my throat. I have a lot of phlegm in my throat right now. I can feel it building. I was like, good. I need this.
Perfect.
Lubricate that throat.
Gather
for me.
my army, yes.
I have missed you, Lee. Let our spirits meld. Let us spar.
Damn, how you guys get all growly? Do you have phlegm in your throat too?
Always.
We're sick constantly.
You are drinking a very sweet mead that I
don't even know if I'd call it sweet.
I don't know
More
what it is.
sour, almost.
Yeah, it was really sour. John was like, what does this taste like? This tastes like something, and he gave it to me, and I definitely pulled several
I still
faces.
can't put my finger on
and
it.
I was like, it tastes like a warhead.
It's not my favorite.
I was not a fan of the mead he's drinking.
What's the
anyway?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No.
I was gonna ask more about the mead, but that's fine. We'll figure it out later. It's not related.
On the universe page, he has a bio, 2 short stories, and what they call realistic model artwork, which is interesting. It's like, what if Udyr was a person? A real one, though.
It's called cosplaying. They should just gotten some guy. Hey, dress up as Udyr real quick.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to find them.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, it was Udyr.
Was it?
What?
That's my thoughts on
We haven't even talked about anything yet. I was just talking about what's on his page.
Yeah. It was all pretty much Udyr.
I'm going to go for the bio. This is, I think, the longest notes for a bio I have ever taken.
Oh, shit.
Ever. There is so much. It is an entire life. This man is apparently 80. He's not a young man, which I don't think I realized. I like that, though. I like that he's like, he's like 50-something, probably.
Sure. Yeah. I did, as I was reading it, I was A, very surprised at the length. And B, I was like, I think Rebecca's going to have to take some notes on this shit because I can't remember this shit off the top of my head. Not at all.
Yeah.
I know. I was so tired today, and a part of me was like, can I wing that? And then, no. Bitch, no. You cannot. You're not going to. You can barely wing the short ones. So.
Yeah.
I don't even remember Twitch.
He's a Ratten's-on. That's literally it.
Oh, shit. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, Udyr was a not-so-normal boy in the Freljord. It's rare I get to say that one. He didn't start normal at all. He was born during a red moon, which only happens when a spirit walker is born, but Udyr was the most powerful walker to ever live. And they knew this immediately, I guess.
Some real D&D shit right there.
I know, it was really like instantly. The moon couldn't predict what he would become. Anyway, most spirit walkers can only hear one kind of spirit, but Udyr hears all of them, which in his childhood, not so good. Just constantly hearing like spirits bitching at him all the time. Spirit walkers were brought in to train him, but couldn't really. You're supposed to let the spirits in, not close them out, which seems really easy for them to all say. It's like 4-year-old boys screaming because he's constantly hearing like everything, all of it. It's not just like someone can hear everyone's thoughts, which that seems overwhelming, but it's like also the trees and every blade of grass. I don't know. Like, it's everything.
You know what I love about that bit is they say like all that shit, inanimate objects, and then the dead, the living, and also the deathless, which is a really important thing to call out in Runeterra. There's a non-insignificant portion of deathless people just about.
There's not like, there's more than 5, and that's a lot. Just that we know of.
Right.
Okay, hang on. All right, one day when he was really young, the Frostguard came to take him. He hid, and literally everyone was murdered. Udyr felt all that, so he used the forest spirits to throw a mountain on the Frostguard. Take that, Viego. You think you can throw mountains? Just you wait. Udyr wandered for a really long time until he came across the Winter's Claw. They took him in, and he bonded with the War Mother's daughter, Kalkia, who was Sejuani's mom, for those who remember. That was going well for a bit until a pack of hungry wolves got too close to camp, and Udyr just became a hungry wolf himself. And he almost killed a child, so he was banished from the Winter's Claw. He lived in the mountains alone for a while. Kalkia would visit him, and when she was made War Mother of her tribe, she lifted Udyr's ban. But he was afraid to hurt someone again and refused. But he did promise to protect Kalkia and the people she loves, so I guess that's why he feels like bound to protect Sejuani later. I really am going to need a reminder about Kalkia and her mother and Sejuani's relationship, because I did not really remember it getting through this.
Kalkia,
they don't get along.
If I remember correctly, Kalkia and Sejuani do not get along.
No.
Sejuani really likes Kalkia's mom, though.
Yes, Sejuani basically called her mother a whore.
Right.
In the story that
marrying someone in the southern
legs spread and a belly full of meat. And I'm sure we made that joke like, damn, she sounds cool as hell, Sejuani. I don't know why. Also, Sejuani has like 10 husbands. Like, you're one to talk. Sejuani.
Well, I don't know, man.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, but just, it was just a weird
She's just
comment.
being mean. I don't know. She's just being
She's a meanie pants.
She's a meanie pants. She also does a lot of murder.
She does do the murder, and then the whole like gruesome bear summoning. That wasn't good. Anyway, we'll get there. Anyway, eventually Lee Sin sought Udyr out since he was learning to figure out the whole like dragon spirit thing he had going on. So thought they could learn together. Udyr didn't want to go, so Lee Sin challenged him to fight, and they fought each other and were too evenly matched. And that made Udyr go, I guess I'll go to Ionia.
You know, like you do.
Yeah, like it was better.
You ever just get into like a brawl with someone on the street and then neither of you win, so you go move to their house?
I do love how often they have to make champions fight and then like come to a standstill.
I was just like, they've got like fucking Rengar and Kha'Zix. They've got Katarina and Talon. Just like they can't have someone be better.
Yeah,
that's true.
They have to fight to a standstill.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, on the way to Ionia, they became besties. But when they got to the Harana Monastery, it was during the Noxus invasion. Udyr helped fight him off, though, and afterwards they were able to train with the abbot. Udyr trained there for a really long time, and both he and Lee Sin learned a lot about their magic and how to control their beasts, their little beasties. Udyr eventually thought that was really condescending. I'm so sorry. They probably worked really hard.
It's like a really serious like self-discovery journey, right?
I was like, oh my god, your little beasties, beastie besties. That is their new ship name. Udyr eventually felt like he couldn't learn anything more in Ionia and needed to go home. Lee Sin gave him a blindfold to return one day. Based on the short stories, it sounds like he's never going to do that, but it's okay, Lee Sin. Oh, God. Okay.
Which is real romantic.
Yeah. Udyr now wears it around his hand. When Udyr got back to the Freljord, he discovered, like, the war between Ashe and Sejuani. Basically, Udyr heard that Ashe was trying to unite the Freljord, which Udyr feels like would kill the spirit of the land. And I need more about this.
Yeah,
I need more.
yeah.
I need a little bit more information.
Yeah, this kind of seems like some boomer bullshit, right?
It's
like maybe he heard like I don't know, like
see, like back in my day we used to fight each other and we were happy for it.
Like he just kind of blames everything bad on anything new that he doesn't understand. It's like peace, but we've only known conflict. This will destroy everything.
I could see that, but the way they had kind of phrased it was that Ashe is trying to unite everyone under one banner, which in a way you can kind of take that as she's absorbing tribes and their culture. So I don't really know how it's going. Is this like the melting pot that we were told about growing up, which is just...
I mean, that's kind of what Sedge is doing too, though, right?
That's true, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
And if it's about the violence, then
but Ashe doesn't seem like...
doing a lot of violence too, and he doesn't seem cool with Lysandra either.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's true. I mean, I think the other thing too is in the bio, it specifically is like, okay, the spirit of the Freljord is all about conflict and growth through it, and just dealing with the harsh climate. And I feel like Ashe uniting everybody isn't going to make it easier, like that much easier to live in the Freljord. It's still a cold piece of shit to live in, I feel like.
Yeah, and there's people who are not going to unite with them. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many monsters there.
Sure.
There's like devil bear worshippers, and then there's trolls who chomp on toes, and like you're still going to have plenty of fights.
And two people who were specifically trying to make there be less hardship and less conflict in the Freljord. 2 of the 3 god spirits. So if they're on board with making things easier, then what the fuck?
Like, does he know anything about the god spirits? I think they know more about...
He must,
he
right?
Should.
He was
He's
blessed
connected.
by one of them.
Yeah, okay. We need to get through this, because I have so many thoughts about this fucking line.
Right.
Because it's his big motivator for like a lot of what he does in the back half of the bio.
And I really feel like you could explain instead that he has a loyalty to Sejuani. I don't know.
Yes.
I think that's it. That's all you need.
Fucking
Yes, it would have been so easy.
Why?
He's loyal to Sejuani.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's enough of a motivation.
Exactly. Completely agree.
And like maybe if they want, I'm getting ahead.
No, it's okay.
Of it
I still
again,
have like 4 paragraphs left to
I know, right?
Shockingly, so much still happens.
Like maybe if they wanted to use it as a justification for like, well, this is how he was able to get other shapeshifters or like, other spirit walkers on his side. But like that is also such a small part of the story, and we never see the other spirit walkers again. So it's completely unimportant that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you would it makes so much more sense that you would harp on the Sejuani thing, because they go into them having, like, not in the bio really, but in the other story, they have like a father-daughter relationship, and so much of what we talked about in the Freljord is about like parent-child relationships, right? Sejuani and her mom, Ash and her mom, right? Like, keep harping on it. Like, that's the through line for the whole region. Why are we doing this stupid, like, spirit of Freljord will crumble if everyone isn't fucking killing each other all the time shit? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
It's weird.
Well, Udyr went back to the Winter's Claw. That's when he meets Sejuani, who was kind of reluctant to let him join. But over the years, they helped each other a lot. And like we said, they have a very father-daughter relationship. Sometime after this, the Spirit Walkers summoned Udyr down south. But on the way, he met an old woman in a big coat. And I couldn't not picture the little rascals. So I was thinking,
it's just a bunch of poros in a coat. Oh my god, yes.
Basically, she asked him to do her a bunch of favors that were impossible. When he failed them, she gave him bread and water that was really salty and cold, and the old lady laughed at him. Then she took off her coat, and all the rascals fell out. No, it was really a bunch of magic. He woke up and has new magic now, apparently. He was tested by the Seal Sister. What the fuck is that? What the fuck just happened? What's the Seal Sister?
So she's another one of like the god spirits.
Yeah.
There's a Nivea, Ornn, and Volibear, right? Isn't that it?
And there's other ones that aren't champions. There's like the Seal Sister. There's the Iron
Oh
Boar.
God, we probably talked about this, and I just don't remember. It was so long ago.
She doesn't get a lot of play. The Seal Sister is
She
like
doesn't.
Yeah, this is probably
Does
the
she
most.
look like a
she's
seal? Are there
fucking
seals?
apparently, she looks like an old woman in a coat, or a bunch
Really
of
big coat.
bunch of
An
children
enormous
in a
coat.
coat. Who knows, right?
It's just they really emphasize the big coat, which I get now why. That's where she keeps her magic.
I guess
This was such a weird part of
It
the
comes
bio.
out of nowhere. They
It
wrote
comes
this
out of
separately and
nowhere.
had to like cut, paste it
It's like
somewhere.
one line of something that should be its own short story if they wanted us to give a shit, because it kind of sounds good. They said
I
had him do a bunch
no,
of
like
impossible tasks that he inevitably failed. Like, that sounds cool.
That sounds
like a
interesting.
Hercules
And
type
how-
thing that I want to
Into a
hear the
fun
story
tirade.
of.
Like, what were they? I'm so
Right?
confused.
It's
I think Mark froze.
Oh yeah, he did a little bit there.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's this raises more questions than anything. If you're gonna include it, like, commit to it, make it a short story, expand on it more. Don't yada yada over it.
Over all the interesting stuff.
I caught the very last end of that, but I completely agree.
Okay.
It's so it's a very long bio too. So why are we wasting all this extra time on this random fucking thing that just happened? It's written like
It doesn't seem like it comes up again, because it kind of makes it sound like this gave him superpowers or some shit. And the only time that this could be seen, I guess, in any of the other lore is maybe him breaking free of Volibear's, thrall late. But I guess
that would be a good way
at
of
all, like,
reincorporating it. It reads
if they
like
had mentioned it in that story,
Yeah.
I would be okay with it. If they're like, and the surge of power from the Seal Mother.
he tasted like salt in his mouth.
Would've
and
been
like,
fine.
It's like, oh, this is too
Oh
salty,
yeah,
right?
that's it.
that would
be
have been
really
great.
good.
It reads like
Tastes just like seal.
the blubber, right? We read bios where it's like they obviously wrote the bio and then some stories happened and they had to kind of tack them on at the end. It feels like that, but that didn't
does.
happen. So why is it written
No.
that way?
I don't know. I do have one more paragraph of the bio. A little bit more happens. Udyr gets to his fellow spirit walkers, who tell him that something's wrong. He's feeling weird. They feel like the land is dying. Udyr is like, it's that bitch Ash. And they all agree to fight. He's never even met her, sir.
Yeah, but he's heard
they all
things.
agree to fight against Avarosa. I guess they haven't seen any of the purple holes around, the purple glowy holes that are around with the void in it. Did they not feel the void? Their spirit, they're connected to all the spirits.
That's
I
also
guess
a
that
good
could be
question.
interesting, is that there's nothing to connect to there. But
Just an emptiness.
That would
Yeah.
be cool, frankly.
then they
Man,
would
he
feel
should hang
that.
out with Lysandra more. It's probably so quiet up
so
there.
fucking quiet.
Yeah, I kind of
Or
like
down
that
there.
idea, and I'd love to see spirit walkers affected by the void and what that turns them into.
oh yeah, I like that a lot.
They're a really
Yeah.
cool idea, I will say. The spirit walkers in general, they're kind of like the
Mm-hmm.
wargs and stuff like that. It's neat.
Yeah.
Okay, So now that we're done with
Well,
all
that's
that,
it, finally.
yeah, thank God. I'm gonna throw a word out. Let me know if this word resonates with y'all.
Ooh.
Bloated. Does that word resonate with y'all?
Yeah.
Okay, great,
yeah.
cool. 'Cause that was the feel-
Bloated is really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get there's a lot that I had to go over, but it's like there were 5 short stories they wrote, 6 or 7 short stories they wrote, and they had to kind of smush them together.
Yeah.
In this
so none of them
bio.
are particularly well expanded on.
So some things needed to be expanded more, and then other things really could have been summarized.
Sure. Or excised. I think some of it, I think, is the way it's written, because it reads very much like, and next this, and next Udyr did this, and next this, and where it's like, okay, there's not really a strong flow. And then some of it's like the Seal Sister is a good example of, what the fuck is this? Why is this even in here? I think,
Why is that there?
I think like the thing with him and Kalkia stood out to me a lot, because it's so weird that he has, like, they talk about so much his relationship with Kalkia, and then later on the relationship with Sejuani. I think it should have just been condensed down to just Sejuani, right? Like, really just harp on the familial paternal, father-daughter thing, and through that he interacts with Kalkia, and I assume has some sort of romantic relationship based on his quotes. I don't know exactly. I'd be curious. I don't know. It's just like it's weird to me that they spend so much time with it in the first part of the bio, and it doesn't really seem to. I don't know. It doesn't
Matter
really
at all.
Matter.
And is she still alive?
That's a good question. I don't actually know. I assume
Because
she
he did
is.
swear to protect her and those she loves, and I would think it would bother him that she's not here, that Sejuani thinks so little of her.
I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like, honestly, too, if you're talking about that they have such a strong relationship, like, what does Sejuani feel about him coming back? Like, I feel like she'd be really fucking mad at him. It's like, you left. Like, you were supposed to be here for me, and you left. And yeah, you've come back for whatever reason, but, like, why?
But you also leave again all the time.
Sure, right? I don't know. I don't want to, like, harp on it. Like, I don't want to be, like, so negative about Udyr, because I really liked that one story, and, like, I'm more into, like, the Lee Sin. I think the Lee Sin relationship feels the strongest, because it gets the most, like,
Me too.
yeah. I think just the like, Lee giving him that token, right, feels the most like I'm only trying to say, like, grounded almost, or like, okay, I got an idea of kind of, like, I feel it more than I feel.
You feel that connection. Yeah.
Man, they love sending people from just all over the world
To Ionia.
to Ionia to
Yeah.
just other people.
I know. Yeah, there are some things I really liked too. Just again, the Spirit Walkers in general, like we said, are really cool. I like him going to Ionia and seeing such a difference in how peaceful it is there. Although not at first. He immediately has to fight off some Noxians.
Well,
and then him having to give up that peace and someone he really, really cares about to go to hell. Essentially, this place sucks. I'm probably going to suck so bad. I'm really sorry. Especially right now. The bear scene. Come on, man. We heard that bear story again, and I'm like, man, God, you gave up Ionia for this. But he even was thinking about Ionia at some point. He's like, I need to think about the nice, pretty trees.
Right.
I think that's what I like.
Lose my mind.
That's also what makes the relationship feel the most strong, is because in the future stories, it's something that really affects his character, that he's, like, kind of harkening back to, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then also, again, this is what we were saying earlier, just really harp on the Sejuani connection, because it's like, the reason that he leaves that in the first place is just that he's essentially hard stuck. He's like, oh, I can't get out of Diamond, I gotta go back to Freljord so I can get into Masters, right? Which is like, yeah, whatever. But if it was more like, okay, my kind of daughter Sejuani, is in trouble, there's some wild shit happening, and I gotta go be there for her.
Did he know her then? I don't think Sejuani was born yet.
Well, they should change that then. They should just.
Okay.
He should have just left when she was young, and then he should go back and.
Because she's pretty young when he meets her, I think. Although is still in charge. She's like the new war mother or something like that. She's young and kind of lost, and he's like, oh, she needs my guidance, and also was Kalkia's daughter, so he felt like he should help her. But yeah, I don't think she was alive yet. I don't think he knew her.
Okay, well, they should.
Because the last time he sees Kalkia is like when he's like, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
And then they never see each other again.
I guess it just makes more sense in my mind that he he develops that strong paternal relationship with her. He has to leave for some reason. Maybe flesh out a little bit more of why he leaves. Maybe being in the Freljord sucks too much ass for him in his current condition. He's got his own personal reasons that he has to go, and it creates a lot of conflict between the two. And he also still cares for her, and that's the thing that pulls him back away from Lee Sin. There's just a lot of interpersonal stuff you can really do with all that, and it's way more compelling than there's a great threat to the spirit of Freljord, or he needs to level up, right? Fuck that shit. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Especially because it makes it lame that's his driving motivation. He gets back to Freljord, and it's whatever. And then he just randomly encounters a seal spirit, fails all of her tests, and then is just given a ton more power. What was it all for?
It's so hard to say because it's
didn't
just
work for it at all.
Well, he tried. I guess I read it as he tried. It's like any you meet
he knew that he was going to fail the test, but he did them anyway.
Sure, or he didn't even know, but he was true of heart. Any old fairy tale, you meet some old person on the road and they ask you to do something, and if you don't do it, you get fucked. But if you do it, you're a good person, right? I don't know. It's so hard because it's a paragraph about some god character that we've really not seen in lore ever before.
So weird.
But I like the idea of her as the little bit we see of a fun, playful, benevolent trickster god in the Freljord. That's fun. I'd like to see her get some more play somewhere. I don't know how.
Yeah, that would be nice if we got that story.
Sure. What do you think she would ask him to do that would be impossible? Melt this true
I
ice?
was trying to think.
I was going to say melt true ice was one of the first things that came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. That brings to mind one of his quotes I read was about how what Ash is doing is causing true ice to melt, is what seems to be some of the big existential threat. I don't know. I'm just basing it off of one champion quote.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
Which was
But
weird.
it's okay. So you're right. The Ash is doing the same shit that Sejuani's doing. So why is Sejuani is absorbing tribes as well? Why is that okay? That the way Ash is doing it isn't okay.
I guess because Ashes doesn't cause conflict and therefore they don't grow from it. I don't know, man.
You know who causes the most conflict? Volibear.
Oh, Volibear.
You know who's his least favorite of the god spirits?
Yeah, you're right.
Volibear.
Volibear's murdering kids and shit, man. You should love him if
Right?
that's what you want for
your jam,
Freljord.
baby.
If you survived the Volibear, you've definitely grown a lot, I guess. I don't know. I agree. Throw it out. Throw it all out. And just
Throw it out. Start over.
Yeah, throw it out.
This is the new one.
Well, that's why I feel bad almost harping on it, because it's
I know.
This is really
it's
new.
Just, there's a lot of pieces, and they need to put some of them back.
There's some pieces to the wrong
pieces
puzzle.
to the
up
wrong
in here.
puzzle. That is perfect.
Really,
This is not the right puzzle.
Yeah. I don't know. I would like to see. I really like. Okay, so here's the other thing. We had back in Talia. I had thought the idea of her spending some time with Udyr could be kind of fun. And I still think that could be good. I feel less that way after seeing his bio. I'm like, oh man, I don't know if you got the room for Talia in this fucking thing. But if you cut it down a little bit, I think it could really work. I think it would really work well with some of the elements that come up in the Ursine story. I don't remember the name. I didn't write it down.
Oh yeah, in the silence for the damned.
Yeah. So maybe we'll talk. Maybe I'll talk about it more after we do that one, because some stuff comes up about Udyr there as well. That also is there's even more shit revealed about him in that doesn't even get. They didn't have the room in this to include it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really want to see him actually meet Ash, because he hasn't. This is just kind of. He heard some rumors and he's like, that gal's messing it up.
That's what's happening. The whole correlation causation thing.
Yeah.
You're right. He is a boomer.
The way it's written is Udyr knew that this would blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, it's are we supposed to? I assume we're supposed to just see, okay, that's just Udyr's perspective, and who knows if it's right at all. But he seems pretty in tune with the spirits of the lands, so that's why I want him to spend time with Talia, is because he could. Them spending time together could give him a chance to kind of articulate his perspective a bit and defend that position more, right? And inform me, the reader. You know?
I'm curious too if there are trickster spirit gods. Are there also just spirits that are just want to are just down for mischief. Like everyone that died, like old Winter's Claw that died fighting Ash or whatever, they're just like feeding bad information to Udyr.
That's a good question, honestly.
Yo, that's fucking funny, dude.
I would love
Gotta
it.
have to get the spirit walkers on our side, man. But wait, the Freljord is really dying. It's not our fucking problem. So it is probably the void, right? That's killing the spirit of the Freljord. Is that what
the void is melting the dark ice, the black ice,
down in
whatever Lysandra has up there. We know that it's melting that. I don't see why it wouldn't also be melting the
I would
true ice.
assume that they're causing an imbalance if everything's kind of about balance.
I have no idea, to be honest. That's like the big thing is like, I don't know. This doesn't get a lot of explanation, and it's kind of written as like Udyr just made a judgment call. He's like, well, it's all about conflict, and if we're not going to be fighting, then this is going to fuck things up. It's like, I don't know, man. That's a really big assumption to make based on very little information, but I don't know.
Right?
Just go off.
He had like one good meditation sesh in Ionia, and this is what he said.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have some thoughts about his Ionian meditation sessions, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
For future stories.
Okay.
But
All right.
here, let me see. What did I have for notes on this one? I think I got through most of them. It did say specifically that he hears the needs and wants of everything around him constantly flooding his mind. And like,
That's rough, bud.
are we talking all wants?
John.
Like, those wants too?
Those ones? I don't know. I prefer not to think
What kind
about.
of wants? What do you mean? I asked for that.
That's how he says it too. Yeah.
Every time.
And then that whole thing with Udyr kind of losing his mind said like Udyr lost himself in the fog of the pack's madness and hunger, attacking and nearly killing a child because the pack kind of was like sick, probably rabies or whatever. And that's what happens when you don't get your vaccine, folks. Udyr
Get your
gets
fantasy rabies
and
vaccine.
comes for your children.
So vaccinate your wild dogs today.
Sure. Yeah. It's important, I suppose. If you can catch him. Okay, so here's something. There's like 2 or 3 moments where it's like, and then everything changed. There's like, in a span of 3 paragraphs, 2 of those paragraphs start with, that all changed when
The Fire Nation attacked.
I literally had to like Control F to see how often that shit was used in the story. I was like, how are they doing? Is this just quick succession? And like, those were the only like 3 times I think, but it happened so back to back to back.
You
Yeah.
shouldn't
It
have
stuck out.
You wouldn't put that phrase twice in an entire novel. So to do 3 times in a like you would know, an editor would point that out, be like, you already used this phrase, dumbass.
Yes.
No, they wouldn't say that, but yeah, I had noticed it because I was kept when I was doing my notes, be like, eventually this happened. Like, I just said that, but there's no other way to say what they just did.
Yeah.
It stuck out to me because anytime I read something like that, you inevitably add to the end of it, and then the Fire Nation attacked.
Yeah.
So
It's like, I don't know. It's maybe you could get away with it twice in something that's a little longer. I give them leeway, but the fact that it's like I said, 3 paragraphs, 2 of them have that at the start is like, we need something needs to change here. Ironically, right? So, I don't know.
yeah, it's all my notes for the bio.
All right.
Yeah, same.
That was a lot. God, we're 34 minutes in and we're just done with the bio.
Using our new system,
It was a long bio.
it's 19.54 repeating, of course, twitches. So it's a lot.
That's about how big Udyr is as well.
Yeah. It all lines up. See, they knew what they were doing. But all right. So the short story, the color story, is A Walk with the Voices, and I think this was put out before his rework. Actually,
I didn't understand it at all.
I also feel that way. I was going to ask for y'all to help, but apparently we're all just we're going to figure it out together. Who's this by the way? I didn't write down the credit. Is it Michael Luo? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Udyr kind of upon his initial return to the Freljord from Ionia, and I guess the monks gave him like a fun little riddle, like, hey, if you need to figure out where to go, what has, what walks on 2 legs in the morning or whatever, bullshit, some old bullshit.
Basically.
And it takes him to a frozen lake, and this frozen lake, I guess, is some sort of site that other shaman have gone to. And he's kind of kneeling down in front of the lake, and it starts roiling, and something bursts out, and it's a big old ice monster. And the ice monster starts kind of like speaking to him in his mind, and trying to goad him into giving into like the rage that he feels, and you know, it's attacking him too, and he's trying to very willfully not give in. You know, I won't give in, and he's trying to deflect the attacks, and eventually he gives in, and he Udyrs out. And he kills the thing, and when he kills it, it sort of like dissipates as if it was never really there, and it was like a test or something in his mind. And he's like, "I am who I am," and
Popeye.
And that's really the end of the story, honestly. Like,
It was.
and yeah, I don't know. I think it's like the big thing for me with this one. This didn't do a lot for me. Is that like it doesn't really excite as an action piece. It's not like terribly descriptive or evocative in its description of the fight. And then I don't understand the stakes of like what's at stake. What happens if he gives in? What does it mean if he gives in or doesn't give in? I don't know. Right?
Yeah, it was confusing.
Confusing, yeah. I'm glad you guys were also confused, because sometimes I read a story and I get confused and I feel like a big old idiot.
I had that,
but
I remembered instances of you saying that, like, I didn't get it, I must be dumb. I was like, well, no, I mean, you know, but I had that exact feeling. I was like, I feel like no one's gonna get this, and I really hope that's the case.
Yeah. So this one was odd. Let's start at the beginning. I'll walk you through the prophecy
Sure.
here. Below winter's peak, nature's pure life essence flows, now transformed to glass, which Udyr has taken as it's a frozen lake under a mountain. You know how many fucking frozen lakes under mountains there are in the Freljord? I'll give you a hint. Another one is mentioned in another Udyr story.
I'd assume all the water was frozen. In
Yeah,
the
Right?
all of it has to be. How the hell... Immediately,
John's at a loss for words. He's
like
shaking
how-
with rage.
I like the idea that the monks in Ionia have no idea to like how cold it is at the Freljord. Like they're really estimate. They're like, there must be only one frozen pond. Yes, this is the
this
one.
will give him the information he needs.
And he's like, God, I gotta check every goddamn frozen pond.
Right?
This isn't like Song of Nunu, where they're like, go to the Winged Mountain, which is a very obvious physical destination. Not a spoiler for Song of Nunu. It's like the first 2 minutes of the game. But
Okay, I
going
trust you.
to the frozen lake under the cold mountain, not helpful.
He does say he specifically goes to a mountain called Winter Spike, which I assume is where, like, what guides him. I just read it as like, well, to me, it was like, this seems like a very simple riddle. This is the riddle you put in front of, like, a D&D party, because, like, I want to make it pretty clear that, like, hey, you got to go to somewhere where the water is frozen, right? Like,
And they're still gonna take 45 minutes.
they still check every fucking frozen lake except for the one that you tried to send them to, right? But
Because one of them wants to check the frozen lake that the mammoth fell into when Sejuani's hunting party failed to kill it.
I mean,
And it climbed off a mountain and into the water.
yeah.
I thought it was funny too. I forget the context for this quote in the story, but there was a quote that said, "Soon they joined together into the shape he had most feared. The rabbit." Oh, this must have been the spirit popping out and turning into a tiger, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soon they joined together into the shape he had most feared, the ravenous tiger. Which we don't get a lot of context for why he's most afraid of tigers. Of all things, but my theory is that is a spirit he used to be able to turn into and can't anymore post rework, and maybe that's why he's afraid of it the most.
I like that.
So maybe this was post rework. Who knows?
I think I know it's pre because I was looking it up before we did this episode. I was just curious to see what people's reactions were because I didn't fucking get it. And people were like, "Oh, Udyr got some story. I wonder if they're gonna rework him soon." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." This probably was written with the intention of like, hey, we're going to rework him soon, so this will be what goes on.
Hopefully, because if he can turn into a tiger spirit and still fears tigers the most, that's weird as hell.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels weird. Like it's if you didn't have the context like if you were coming to it now and you've only known new Udyr, it is weird that like why a tiger? Why so specific? Why a tiger? Why so specific?
That's what I had. That was what I had thought. I was like, why a tiger?
I thought they were gonna cycle through like, okay, they'll go through some of the other like the turtle and some of the other stuff that he could have done, but it was just the tiger. It was only the tiger. I don't know. I don't get it.
It was very weird. This was a great opportunity for them to showcase his forms, his capabilities as a spirit walker. But yeah, like you said, this action piece is light on the action, so we don't actually get to see any of that.
Yeah, there's like like the example I would draw is that there's a bit where the ice monster attacks him, and he does his little protective whatever turtle stance is now. I guess the iron boar stance to deflect it. And the description is just like, well, it charged, and a magical shield surrounded him and knocked him back. And there's no spice to it. There's no like, ooh, hot magical sparks flew off and like sizzled in the snow, or etc. Shards of ice like shrapnel flew from the impact. It's just like it hit him and he blocked it. What's next, right?
It sounded like almost like someone who was a little bored of writing it, but was like, the players, they'll get it, right? Like, this is enough. Like, they'll get that it's turtle, it's whatever.
God, that's so fucking accurate. Holy shit. Yeah.
Also, the impression I got was that what he was fighting was a spirit, right? It seemed like that, kind of.
Yeah.
So I do find it fun that, like, Udyr's whole thing is like, oh no, the spirits are dying. It's got to be that Avarosan wench. And but meanwhile, I'm just going to straight up murder this spirit real quick.
He tries not to for a bit. I guess we can give him that. I don't know.
Spirit was just being like, hey man, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
That is true.
See, so maybe some of the spirits deserve to die, Udyr. You ever think about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some of them
man.
are dicks.
I don't know, man. I don't quite get it. I don't know. That's the thing where it's like, it comes back to like, I don't know what this means for him as a character, ultimately. What does it mean that he kind of accepts that he has to be who he is? Was that really a conflict, that he was trying to be someone he's not? Right? Like this not fight guy, but he is a fight guy, so he's got
not fight guy,
really,
but is fight guy.
That really seems to be the conflict, right? So like, I'm someone who doesn't fight, but actually I am someone who fights, and I have to accept that. And it's like, okay, I don't know. Was that ever in question? I guess so. Anyway.
Yeah, that's all I got for this one.
Yeah,
this one was
the same.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was not a lot to sink your teeth into on this one. A lot to scratch your head on this one.
Okay, so there is a little moment I do like where he after he gives in, and like they talk about how the flames start kind of rippling across his skin. That was pretty cool. Like his old Phoenix stance. It's like that's a neat visual, and they do that again in the next story we're going to talk about, but way cooler anyway. So it's like a little preview almost. But yeah, you want to talk about the voices of the
Silence for the Damned.
Silence for the Damned. I didn't write this one down either. Who wrote this
By
one?
Odin Austin Schaefer.
Hey man, this was a fucking good one. Oh my god.
Yeah, we talked about this one for Sedge. This one still fucking slaps.
It is so good.
Again, if you're gonna read one Udyr story, make it Silence for the Damned.
Dude, oh my god, this is one that's quickly climbing up in my ranks of like some of my favorite like pieces after coming back to it. But yeah, so a lot of it is told from Udyr's perspective. I kind of forgot how much of it's from his perspective.
Yeah, me too.
So he is essentially kind of he's seeking out Sejuani and the Winter's Claw because so what's happening is that the Winter's Claw are getting ready to raid a city that is across a river, and they're going to call on the power of the Ursine and the Volibear to do so. And Udyr is desperately trying to get to Sejuani and convince her not to do that. And he kind of gets to her, and he is trying to tell her to, attack a weaker target. You can go around and go get someone else. But the situation is too desperate. The weather is getting too bad. They need the Ursine, and ironically enough, they need Udyr to help with calling the Volibear. So they do this fucked up ritual to get the Ursine and the Volibear to show up. And they do. And first come the humans who are all fucked up, and then come the bears who are all fucked up, and then come the weird mix of the two and other things who are all fucked up. And eventually comes along the speaker for the Volibear, who we do learn is, I guess, Udyr's first apprentice. Like, he tried to apprentice a spirit walker and failed him so completely that person whose name is like Carrick or something. It also starts with a K. I didn't write it down.
I don't remember.
We'll go with Big K. Big K is is now mostly just kind of like just used as like a harbinger or like kind of voice for the Volibear spirit. So Sejuani is kind of asking Volibear to help with this fight, and Volibear sort of casts this weird sort of spell on everybody to kind of trick her almost into kind of pledging herself and her tribe to the Volibear, which we kind of assume will turn them into like Ursine, right? Will kind of like eventually lead them to being fucked up as well. And Udyr kind of in that moment is able to sort of break free of the trance and kind of in turn get Sejuani to sort of break free, and through it they were able to get Volibear and the Ursine's help without having to commit themselves to turning into bear people or whatever. And then it kind of cuts to the aftermath, where what Udyr had kind of said is that if you do this, you're not going to grow. You're not going to get any thralls, slaves. You're not going to get anyone who can be kind of absorbed into the tribe as a warrior. They're just going to fucking kill everything. And that's exactly what happens, is the Ursine have just destroyed and sacked this entire city. And then there's a little confrontation between the Volibear, who did show up, like the, I don't know, spirit avatar of the Volibear, or maybe Volibear himself. I'm not 100%. And Udyr, and there's a very specific confrontation between the two, where Udyr is very much kind of planting the flag of, you're not going to get Sejuani. No matter what happens, you're not going to get her, and I'll make sure that happens. And that's where it kind of leaves the situation. But yeah, it's really fucking cool. The Ursine are insanely cool. The way they're described here, the Harbinger guy, the Hounded Lord is kind of what they call him.
Hounded Lord, yeah.
The Volibear himself, which is sort of like they seem to be going with like that 1,000-pierced bear skin sort of interpretation. But something I thought was interesting that I didn't catch when we did Sejuani is that after she has been broken from the spell, the appearance of the Volibear seems to sort of change, and she can kind of see it more because they describe him as like he's really messed up, like half of the skin is missing off of this rotting face and stuff. But she doesn't seem to have seen that until after Udyr kind of snaps everyone, or at least her, out of it a little bit, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested to get to Volibear. I don't want to jinx that now.
I definitely don't think we're gonna get anything.
I don't think I gotta say, I read that and I was like, I gotta look up Volibear's splash real quick, because none of this is resonating with me.
Yeah.
It's like, he doesn't look like this, right? No, he has his whole face. Okay.
He's normal.
Yeah.
They do say also at the end that after they've done this battle, Volibear has healed. He's looking more buff. That face is looking good, so like as Sejuani is kind of working with him, it is in turn kind of giving him power. And that's kind of the threat, I guess, that I missed at the end, is that Volibear is like, I am going to come back, Spirit Walker, Udyr. Just so you know, you can't stop me. I'm coming back, baby. Volibear 2024, right?
And like the thing you get from this too is like, despite the fact that Sejuani did not end up being tricked into pledging her entire force to Volibear, something that you do see is that even being around the Ursine and Volibear is infecting all of her people. Mm-hmm. Like Udyr can kind of see in the heads of all her people, and he is seeing the Volibear in their heads. So, and that's kind of, I assume, how he's getting power, the more followers he has.
Yeah. And something...
yeah, he's...
no, I mean, I didn't talk about it much, but seeing so much from Udyr's perspective, like, this is like, I love the way they depicted his like affliction with the Spirit Walker stuff, and that like he's around all, like having all the people around, like he's constantly in tune to everything around him, right? And they really push it to its full extent here, where like he's trying, like when he first is talking to Sejuani, the conversation gets interrupted because some fucking horses are going by, and he's like, no oats now, I'm trying to fucking focus. He's got like the worst ADHD that like you could possibly have. He just cannot like keep the fucking train of thought at all, and he has to they really hark on, he's got like a metal pin that he kind of drives into his own hand to kind of bring him back to a lucid state. And when the volibear's there, it's like he doesn't even feel it. As much as he's trying to stab his own hand, he can't get himself back, right?
It goes through his finger and he doesn't feel it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, when they're doing the ritual and, like, all those people and animals and everything is just crowded around him, like, he's barely even there, because all he can feel is, like, this massive meld of people and the animals that they're sacrificing and the suffering they're going through. And and at some point he's just, like, slobbering and, like, gibbering, and he can't even, like, form coherent sentences. It's fucking great. I remember, you know what really fucked me up with Udyr, this whole thing, I will say, is that we read this when we did Sejuani, and I was like, oh my god, this is such a cool depiction of Udyr. And then nothing else met this, like, bar. So my expectations were, like, way too high, you know?
Yeah, this is
peak Udyr, we didn't know.
I know, right? If you don't read this and then go read the other things. Just read that.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get to know Sejuani so much better in this too. Kind of seeing how far she's going now, how desperate she's getting. It's really sad, especially when you come from, younger Sejuani and the relationships he used to have with Ash. And now she's summoning demon bears.
Yeah.
For no good reason. They didn't get anything from this. Like,
no,
not just no people, like no resources either. Just this whole, it was just for no reason.
Yeah, and they do a good job. Like, I really liked her having that conversation with Udyr, and she does kind of really put forward a very tangible reason why she's even doing it, which is that, like, we're dying, right? I had to bury a 2-year-old the other day, and I'm not doing it again. So we're going to call the fucking volibear. And it's like, yeah, it's a hard thing to argue with, right?
And she made a comment that, now that we have kids, I think stuck with me more, was she said that I buried a 2-year-old and was so malnourished. He looked like a 1-year-old. Like, he didn't even look his age. Yeah. I'm like, good Jesus, because I have a 1-year-old.
But
stop it.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, this is why it's like, I really want them, for Udyr, to just, like, drop all of this, like, grander stuff and really just hark on him being there to try and, he's just a good dad. He's just trying to support Sejuani no matter what. Even when she's making the wrong decisions, he's trying to help her and be there for her, right? And that's really all it needs to be. And it can be so powerful, right? So emotionally, like, strong and evocative, and this really, I think, is the best example of what that could be, Now,
I had a question too. So the thing that he's constantly stabbing into himself, they do make a point of mentioning several times too that it is hot to the touch.
Yeah.
Do you think, 2 questions. Do you think that it is some sort of special metal that hurts spirit walkers? And if so, do we think that runic iron hurts spirit walkers the same way that it hurts yordles?
Sure. I don't know. I had that thought for the first one because, like, I caught that detail too. Yeah, fuck it, go with it, right? Let's get some more consistency through the world, right? And I like that idea, and that makes sense that they would know about that type of thing in Ionia, because I think we can intuit he kind of got it from there, I like that a lot. I think that's a really neat idea, frankly.
Now, interestingly, the size of volibear here. So you mentioned that, he mentioned he's going to be coming back. And I don't think we know specifically what that means.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether...
They're so vague with all the gods.
They are vague with the gods, for sure. But one thing that we do know is that Song of Nunu is canon now. And we get a very large volibear in Song of Nunu.
I mean...
basically the size of his teaser when he showed up on Howling Abyss. Which was very large, much larger than the description we're given here, which is, like, bigger than a mammoth with, like, limbs as big as a human. Which is, like,
a big,
but, like, not half the size of the Howling Abyss big.
Sure, yeah, and, like, he got a Runeterra release very recently. He's very large there too, like bigger than a mountain. I is kind of how I see him in those. So maybe that is what it is. Like, if he were to come to full power, it would be him as his like base skin in game, and big as shit. You know, like that's
Big as shit.
Big as shit.
That's one big pile of shit.
right. I know they stacked it that high, but I think that's the way I kind of read it. Is that the 1,000 pierce bearskin is maybe more kind of where he's at currently, and as he grows in strength, he will kind of return to whatever his original sort of prime form was, which is more his base skin, which is neat. It's a neat thing to do with him, frankly.
Yeah.
Canonize some of the skins.
We mentioned this in his bio too, but I think it would have been very cool to have some sort of callback to the seal sister.
Yeah.
Who broke free of Volibear's thing. That would have been a good touch here. One question I did have too. After Sejuani made up her mind, she's gonna summon the Volibear, even though, Udyr is very against it. He says, "Then I should leave. The Hounded Lord wouldn't be happy to see me." And Udyr had no desire for that unhappy reunion either. Sejuani's face transformed, softening before she gave a cunning smile. "No," she grinned. "That's exactly why I need you with me, old friend." Does this ever come back? What? Why?
I don't know. I agree. I don't know if it actually ever gets like capitalized on, or if it like gets resolved in any meaningful way. I mean, they do establish, like I said, that there's a very specific relationship between him and that Hounded Lord fella. That he was his first student who he obviously fucked up with. But I don't see how that drives what resolves of the interaction with the Ursine.
Right.
I don't know. I will say on that point, that's what I was thinking would be a lot of fun with Talia. It would be really interesting to see him try and tackle mentoring again, and it would be a good vehicle to show us like Udyr in the past, to like flashbacks of him trying to teach this student. We could see more of like him and Kalkia when they were, I guess, younger or whatever. If you want to try and keep those elements, at the very least, you can kind of flesh them out a bit more.
Yeah. One thing I did like towards the end too, kind of to your point of really just focusing more on the kind of father-daughter relationship here. When he is having that kind of like stare down almost with Volibear at the end of the story, it is Udyr knows that in the future there's going to be an inevitable conflict that he has to have with Volibear for Sejuani, and he also knows he has zero chance of winning that conflict. He's like, in his head, he's like, he is gonna swat me aside as easily as he could have swatted Sejuani aside. But I'm gonna do it anyway, because I gotta, I guess, for Sejuani.
Yeah, I like, so they're sitting there, right? The Volibear spirit, for his part, is like fucking around with dead bodies and impaling them on shit just for like fun.
That's true. We didn't talk about that.
It's really gruesome. It's a gruesome story, but I fucking love it.
I do like to have Chandler done the conversation. He just kind of goes back to impaling.
He makes some jerk off motions, like, all right, whatever, Udyr.
Yeah, like whatever, Udyr.
Kill you later, bro.
Let me finish my art.
Right? You don't get it. But yeah, he goes through all of his beast forms, and at one point he turns into the bear spirit, like in perfect control, kind of matching the form, writ small, I suppose, and then turns into Ornn as like the biggest middle finger he can give him. Like, by the way, that ram you hate, fuck you, buddy. Here it is. Yes. Right? I would love to see this depicted in a cinematic with like all the little bits and like ending on like a really like long shot of them two just staring each other down. This little Udyr and this just gigantic monster. I don't know, man.
This would be even, you know what this would be cool with too? If they animated this like they animated the Spirit Guard Udyr comic, that would be cool even.
Sure, yeah. Oh, man. God, there's so much. This is like, oh, man, we really shouldn't have started with this story, because it really does, like I said, just make you think like, man, this is like a really cool depiction of Udyr, just broadly speaking. And I really wish some of his other stuff kind of was up to snuff with it, almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's really good, and I really like it.
It is really good.
Little details. I really like when the Earth signs show up, none of them are speaking or doing anything. And then when when like Volibear kind of speaks, it's all through them, and it's actually like through Udyr as well. He can't help but also whisper or say what it is that Volibear is saying. And I thought, this is cool. I'm just picturing all these dead, silent bear people, and then they all start speaking it in one voice. It's so cool and creepy. I don't know.
Right. And this is after that one had shown up that opened its mouth and had a baby's head in its mouth that just spit black ichor out at them.
How can we forget the baby head mouth monster? Oh my god. I want to see that thing somewhere, somehow. Someone's projectile vomiting. That did make me.
It's a little spit up. Sorry, a little spit up.
That did make me think I wanted to see Udyr parenting a really little Sejuani and be like, "Oh, you rated. Oh, can I get that? Thank you." And it's just trash. It's like, okay, just put that aside. Oh, you got the spoils. Thank you. Good job. Puts it in his pocket.
Is this because your toddler, like our toddler, is just giving you garbage all the time?
Yes.
Like, just constantly, a piece of a Dorito from earlier. Thank you so much.
I don't remember when you had
Put them in
green
my
beans
pocket.
last, but this one is like a mummy. It's so dry. So I'll take that. Thank you.
Oh my god, Poppy found. It took me really long time to realize it was a pea because it was white.
You know what? All I feel is like, thank you for not eating it. Thank you for not putting that in your mouth and trying to eat that. Yeah, thank you. I'll put it in my pocket. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah.
Now, he's also mentioned in 2 other stories, specifically Dead of Winter, where old man Crix tells Sejuani to listen to Udyr if she doesn't believe him about Orange Soup Pot. Unfortunately, Udyr's gone on another one of his spirit quests, so
Whatever that means.
he can't vouch for
Kind of is on a bender.
him.
That's what he calls it.
Right.
And then he shows up in the Blind Monk, which it's mostly stuff we already get into in Udyr's bio, but we do find out that he was the first one to jump into the fray to protect the monastery in Ionia. But that's mostly because Lee Sin was trying to work up the will to summon the dragon, which he was pretty sure would destroy the monastery that he was trying to protect, and he did, and it did. So,
Oops.
Oops, all fire.
I forgot that's when he...
Yeah, he
went
met Lee
blind,
Sin at
so
a different time.
Yeah, when he met Lee Sin had sight.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Well, I guess that makes that thing he gave him, the blindfold or whatever, a little more meaningful, maybe. Or does it? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Whatever.
But yeah, that's canon, Udyr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does show up in a few old things. I mean, one, he's got an old bio. Where in his old bio, he just had a really strong connection to nature, So at 16, he just left home to go live in nature.
This is into the wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. But then when he lived there, he really connected with it. And he basically turned feral, and he had his own territory that he fiercely protected. And then at one point, an unknown monk was walking through his territory, and he fought that unknown monk to a standstill and followed him to learn to control his powers at a monastery.
Yeah, but the reason he fought him is because he just wanted to scare him. Like, he's just a little goober. He's just like trolling around in the forest. Like, oh, I'll scare this guy good. That'll show him.
Yeah, I'm gonna get him.
Yeah.
I feel like 16's old enough that he wouldn't just like forget who he was.
That connection
I
too
guess it's
strong.
okay.
You've never felt the pull of nature.
Yeah, right.
That's true. I've literally never fucking felt the pull of nature. I feel the pull of my couch.
That's what
Comfy.
That's what his lore should have been. Is that he was just a nice couch potato. It's just like, oh man, what's on
He's
the
that
tube?
dad. He takes his pants off when he gets home from work and sits in his lazy boy.
Now, one line that I did like here, it said, as a boy, he toiled on his father's farm, but he felt a much deeper connection with the mustangs that would graze in the distant fields than with the townsfolk who would visit. So, take that how you will. But I'll tell you how I'm taking it.
How are you taking
Udyr
it?
fucked a mustang.
John, ew.
I would prefer that. I prefer not.
Not
to
every connection has to be sexual, honey.
No, but this one is. I could tell. There's subtext
No, it's not. No.
I prefer not to take that interpretation. If that's okay with you.
That's gross, John. Stop it.
Hey,
You
it's
just
Udyr,
kissed
not
him.
me.
No, it wasn't. You just did this. You did this.
I don't know about that. Agree to disagree.
The story was just like he connected to the animals outside more than the people in his town.
It's a deep connection. The
Move on to the Journal of Justice.
The specificity
I would
of the
rather
deepness.
hear about the Journal of Justice right now. That's how fucking gross you're being.
Wow! Holy shit!
It only shows up once.
Thank
Issue
God.
12, where our good friend Guardsman Bob
Oh shit!
controlled Udyr, and he helped Ionia win their freedom from
We watched
Noxus
that, baby.
in the Trial for the Isle. If you're interested in watching our reaction to this full match, it's up on Patreon. So, ABP, always be plugging.
Definitely check it
I really
out.
had to think about that.
It was tons of fun.
Shit, what letter does P stand?
It was a lot of fun. I want to do something else like that again.
Yeah, I know. It's too bad they don't have any more cringe like show matches or whatever. Because really, the fun of that is not the league, which is like kind of fun. It's more everything around the actual game, like
It was so
disconnects
cringe. Yeah.
and role like off the cuff role playing. It's oh my god. Go
it's
watch.
truly a treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't want to watch a reaction to it, just watch the video itself. It is hilarious.
Prepare yourself. Steel
Very
yourself emotionally.
Now he has some quotes that are worth mentioning. Fall, like leaves on the vine, might be a reference to Leaves from the Vine, which was sung by Iroh in Avatar The Last Airbender in the saddest episode of the show.
Oh my god.
So good.
That just makes me sad thinking about it.
Right?
You're hearing it in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we got
He also has a quote. Be like water, adaptable and unyielding, passive and powerful. It's another Bruce Lee quote. A couple champs got that one. My time in... All right. My time in Ionia taught me control. Now, this has some real Iron Fist vibes.
Here's another Iron Fist.
Because, like, he spent years training to control, my emotions, and then immediately gets overtaken by emotion. That's like Udyr all the time. I spent years practicing control, and, like, he passes by a horse and immediately fucking loses it and has to stab himself with a magic nail.
But it's better than it was, it sounds like.
Apparently.
That's true, I guess. He's not eating young children as if they were oats anymore.
Yeah.
Ice Witch, you are a blight on the Freljord. I will be its cure. Again, just raises the question, if violence is what's keeping the spirits cool, why is she a blight? Seems like you'd be down with her.
He's really biased again.
Yeah.
Sejuani.
Yeah, and I also did write down your quote here. With your death, Ash, the true ice will not melt. Which, I mean, I'm also just kind of curious what the true ice has to do with the spirits at all. Like, that's all Anivia and the Yetis. Like, what the fuck do the other spirits have to do with that in the least?
I don't know. They talk about the spirit as like we talk about the spirit of Ionia, and I assume there's something kind of comparable for the Freljord. There's like a spirit
Yeah.
for the land. Maybe the true ice is like a manifestation of it, or some old. I don't know. That's the thing. We're trying to work off of like a paragraph and a couple quotes. Who knows, right?
Well, I don't know if this was actually mentioned in the lore we read for Anivia or not, but the true ice was just a gift that Anivia gave. Like, it was just
ask
her.
Anivia.
Yeah, her
what's
her
going
egg
on.
hatched, and then that's what's snow. I don't remember. We need to go back to Anivia. It's been a minute. Like I think that's what caused
She
snow.
gifted the Yetis the power of true ice.
Okay. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, and then sometimes it melts if a troll is tricking Orin, right? Like, who knows, right?
Skins may use too.
I mean, look
Just
up
a
those
few.
skins. I don't.
Just a few, because Udyr is notoriously hard to make skins for. Because
Is
it
he?
is 4 times as
Oh.
much work as anyone else.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
First up, we got the grind, day job. It's a living. And this one is Black Belt Udyr. Students of the Hiraclaw Dojo know that the best way to tell people you're good at punching is to have a giant screen-printed fist on your clothes. That's a karate fact, according to Sensei Udyr, which is why their parents all buy them the special Hiraclaw gi, only $89.95.
This splash is really cute.
I
All
love
the
it.
little kids in the background, and then one Yordle, and then Lee Sin's just hanging out. I love that. I like the idea that they're husbands and they run this together.
Right?
That's really fun.
There's definitely like a vibe there, He does have a quote specifically that he's only loved twice and left twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to. We were debating who the two were that he left.
I'm assuming it's Kalkia is the other one, right? It's the only
That's
one that
what
makes
I had
sense.
said. John didn't
Yeah.
seem like.
Or if you
he
had
agreed
if you had another one, I'm open to it.
No, I was I agree emotion-wise it was probably Kalkia. I just disagreed with the since he was banished
Oh right.
as opposed to like leaving, and then he was welcomed back, but it specifically said he didn't go back. So I mean,
He left,
He didn't
yeah.
really leave. He just didn't go back.
And then he left the Freljord.
And then he did leave the Freljord, which lead me to believe that maybe the Freljord is the other one.
Oh, that's why he
Oh
wants
yes,
to save
he
it.
said
Yeah.
the Freljord is his second love.
Lee and the Freljord. I don't know which one he loves more. I guess Freljord, because he did leave Lee to go to
Right,
the Freljord,
yeah.
but it's probably close.
They all come crawling back to the Freljord. That sexy, sexy Freljord.
I guess it's better than your bestiality thoughts. So
They're not mine. It's the story.
anyway,
What's the
moving
next
on.
skin? What we
Spirit
got?
Guard.
Yeah.
Udyr spent almost a decade training in Ionia with the monks of the Hirana Monastery, learning to control and master his spiritual abilities. At last, when the Freljord called him home, he chose to stay and complete his training. In the time since then, Udyr has become part of the Ionian landscape, both spiritual and mortal, as he works with Lee Sin and Karma to return balance to the war-torn land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Spirit Guard is the AU if he stayed instead of going back.
Interesting, because in the
I like that.
in the A Walk with the Voices short story, I think they use the Spirit Guard skin, and like they have the art for the story coming out the top, the header, and I think he's in that skin there. So I always kind of intuited or interpreted it as this is just kind of how he was dressing when he was in Ionia, and then left and is back to. Okay, that's neat though. I like that.
Yeah. This was Spirit God Udyr. Udyr's time in Ionia, training at the Hirana Monastery, taught him control and calmed the storm in his heart. Though the Freljord called him home, Udyr chose to stay and knows that his work... chose to stay and help Ionia regain spiritual harmony as it had done for him. As he gets closer to this goal, he knows that his work to do the same for the whole of Runeterra has only just begun. And this one has a comic associated with it, just called kind of Spirit Guard, which uses all his old animal forms, but it's still cool. And I totally forgot, at the end of the comic, Ao Shin pops up at the end.
Oh, fuck. I actually didn't reread it. I just kind of remembered it from back when it came out. That's neat.
Yeah, they're all kind of like fighting to get into the monastery, and then like at the end, like Ao Shin's kind of the big monster that pops up that he has to fight, which, the comic ends before he does any fighting. But I completely forgot that he made any appearance here.
Yeah, I think I'm sure at the time it just like, over my head entirely, right?
Now, for those of you who are curious, Ao Shin was a big dragon that was initially teased as, people were pretty sure this was going to be a champion release, a wind dragon from Ionia. When A Soul got released, people were like, the fuck? Where's Ao Shin? We never got Ao Shin. Ao Shin never got released until Teamfight Tactics, where the dragon, there was a set called Into the Dragonlands, and Ao Shin was one of the dragons that you could recruit there.
That's
I'm glad you
wild.
explained it again because I forgot.
Yeah.
That's neat.
And fun fact about this one too, in Spirit Guard Udyr's voice interactions, it's revealed that Sejuani fell to Volibear's influence without Udyr to protect her in the Silence of the Damned.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oopsie.
Wow, damn. I don't know how I feel about that. That fills me with like some sort of discomfort almost at the thought of it.
Right?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know what happens then. This
Damn. It's like...
Do you think she's going to get like a baby's head in her mouth? That's
Oh God, I hope so, and I hope we get that skin.
baby mouth sedge. Pretty good.
And then like Bristle opens its mouth and also has a baby mouth.
It's just the baby,
Druvask or
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Also, after spending 4 points and an ability on this skin, he gains the ultimate form of that ability, and his joke emote references Marilyn Monroe's iconic white dress scene in the 7-Year Itch. So a lot of fun facts on this skin.
Okay.
Nice. I like it. That makes me want to play Udyr so I can play this skin and see that joke.
All right, then we got Definitely Not. Is that a robot in glasses and a trench coat? Of course not. Do your eyes perceive a beast man in a onesie? Better get those eyes checked because they're wrong. Isn't Draven too modest to wear his own head? How foolish you must feel to even ask. And that laser squid? Definitely human. Definitely. And this one is definitely not Udyr. Wear the onesie. Become the beast.
These are always my favorite.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good.
And this skin is fucking so funny.
His eyes are so
They're
ridiculous.
so ridiculous.
Next up, we got Dragon World. Twice did Dragonfire consume the world, and twice from the embers were heroes born. This is Dragon Oracle Udyr. Every dragon that dies leaves behind a blazing spirit. Through Udyr, a mystic who doubted the old tales, these dragon spirits have the chance to touch life once again. He believes that dragons are only as evil as those who command them, and in channeling the spirits and their flames, seeks to prove it to the slayers.
Cool.
Yeah. Then we got Ink Shadow Uprising.
It's a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the outskirts of Rabadon City, a dilapidated temple houses the last hope for Rabadon's people, the Ink Shadow Warriors. Each one sacrifices what is most important to them in order to make a contract with ancient spirits who imbue them with magic tattoos so powerful, even the Cabal trembles. They are victims no more. It is time to take back their home. This one is Ink Shadow Udyr. Udyr has given up much as a tattoo artist for the Ink Shadow Warriors, sacrificing pieces of himself to multiple spirits and covering his body in their arcane contracts to enhance his natural second sight. He sees the souls of his canvases, knowing the price they must pay, and connects them to the spirits who will give them the power to do what must be done. This one, Udyr sacrifices... The thing that Udyr sacrifices in this AU, because it does mention everyone has to sacrifice something, is just kind of himself. He's now completely at the mercy of the spirits, and they constantly are demanding his time, attention, and service, and Volibear is one of those spirits.
Interesting. This setting is... This AU is pretty cool. I'd be interested to see more of these skins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
The whole sacrificing thing makes me think a lot of like Drakengard, if y'all are at all familiar. I assume not. Don't worry about it. where people have to get engaged in these various pacts and sacrifice like their voice or like their ability to like bear children and shit like that to get into pacts with like demons and dragons and shit. Anyway.
Nice. Yeah, there's a comic for this one too. It's mostly a Kaisa and Master Yi comic, but Udyr shows up in one panel with Aurelian Soul.
Not Ao Shin?
Neat.
Not Ao Shin on this one. And finally, we got prehistoric hunters. Gargantuan monsters roam our land, stalking their prey with frightening precision.
Stalking prey again. Sorry.
We're not doing it yet. You can't preview. A little preview.
Sorry. I didn't even think about it. It just came out.
reflex,
like,
really?
I didn't. It was like a reflex. I wasn't like, ooh, say Vagar slide. It just word vomit.
I guess Vagar needs a prehistoric hunter skin.
Yeah, I guess so.
Humans would surely become their next meals if not for the hunters. Armed with blades crafted from the bones of their first kills, with instincts that rival the most fearsome of beasts, the hunters protect their people each day from a grisly fate. This one's Primal Udyr. Cursed to roam the land as something between man and beast, Udyr no longer distinguishes between hunters and hunted. Once he gets close enough to strike, they are all his prey.
Damn.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of fun facts.
We got some
for this
fun
one.
facts.
All right.
Yeah, he's an old boy.
Old boy.
Udyr and Spirit God Udyr are voiced by Sean Rohani, who first voiced him in Legends of Runeterra before, the whole rework. They were previously voiced by J.S. Gilbert, who also voiced Battlecast's Cho'Gath, pre-rework Mundo and Corporate Mundo, Gragas, and pre-rework Scion.
It's a lot of range.
Yeah.
Classic Arnold. He was designed by Stephen Cornock de Rose, and he was the first champion released after the official October 27th, 2009 launch of the game.
Ooh, congratulations. What an honor.
Way to go, Udyr.
He doesn't have a
Yeah,
judgment,
only
though.
one.
What's up?
I know, right? It's disappointing. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah.
His original champion title was the Animal Spirit, but with the Freljord patch, his champion title was changed to the Spirit Walker. His visuals in Legends of Runeterra represent him after returning to the Freljord. Being a Spirit Walker, Udyr can harness a small portion of power of a dozen great spirit animals, such as tiger, turtle, bear, phoenix, ram, lynx, boar, and more. And Volibear and Ornn represent the bear and ram, respectively, so as such, Udyr can harness a small portion of their powers. Part of his power possibly comes from his diluted Vestayan heritage, which you may be confused as that's not mentioned anywhere. That was discussed in the Vestaya Q&A, which mentions that he's as much Vestayan as Nidalee is. Which I think it's safe to say with both of their reworks probably isn't the case anymore.
Yeah.
But at some point was.
I think I'm gonna personally choose to just pretend that's not. We're just gonna ignore that.
Imagine throwing that into the bio as well.
And also, he's Messiah. All right, just one last sentence.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the only character that cannot max out all his skills, as each of his skills has 6 levels, and the max character level is 18.
Oh.
However, in Ultra Rapid Fire, the 2015 mode, there is no limit to a champion's level, so Udyr is able to have all 6 levels on all his abilities.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. As such, he's also one of the few characters without an ultimate. And he's one of only a few champions to have multiple textures in one skin. And he has more different textures than any other champion, as he has a different one for every one of his stances. Which is why it's so hard to do skins for him.
Yeah. Yep. That sounds right.
And finally, his dance references the Drunken Master Kung Fu style.
Good shit, dude.
Yeah. That's Udyr, folks.
That's Udyr. Any final thoughts?
Needs some cleanup.
Yeah, a little cleanup.
But has has some great potential.
I mean, he's got a really strong piece.
He does, yeah.
Stick with
Ignoring the bio, just read that one story, and I feel like you learn a lot about Udyr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are we doing? Are we doing Briar next, by the way?
I think that's the plan.
Oh, yeah.
I know we were talking about potentially doing that.
I'm down with that. Yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was Udyr. Thank you so much for listening. We have a Twitter. It's @Loreheads. And we have a Twitch, twitch.tv/Loreheads. It's John's channel now. I can't stream anymore, apparently. Having wild audio and mic issues, and I don't know. We'll see whenever I can get back to that. But for now, John streams on Saturdays. He does TFT and ARAMs with viewers, and maybe he'll take up some of the Monday streams instead. Mm-hmm. We'll see what we want to do.
Yeah, maybe we'll do some Rift and maybe some backpack battles if you're feeling lucky.
Backpack battles. Sorry.
He did say it
we
like
have a YouTube. He did. Where we post the full episodes with video and clips and shorts and stuff like that. John throws all those together. They're very fun. And we post like our streams and stuff there. And we have a Discord if you want to find some people to league with, chat about lore and anything but. Please join our Discord. And we have a Patreon. Hopefully there will be some new content on there soon. We've been spitballing a little bit. Thank you so much to all of our patrons.
But a very special thank you to our Medarda tier patrons. Big Man Gnomes, King of Hearts, Mr. Dead, and John Has a Dig Bick. If you guys were Ionia, or if you guys were Avarosa in the Freljord and I was Udyr, I would not convince all the other Spirit Walkers to fight you. I would let you do your thing, even if it did kill the spirits.
Damn, honey.
Well, that's nice of you. God bless you.
Well, please be sure to join us next week. We're going back a little bit to talk about the Restrained Hunger Briar, and I think we're also going to be talking about some of the changes that got announced recently.
Yes, the lore changes.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about them on a podcast episode,
Yeah.
I think. So Briar's not going to have a lot of lore for the reasons we're going to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna talk about those then too. So
Yeah,
tune in.
tune in.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Bye.
Toodles.
Bye.
Oh.